Welcome back, everybody, to a lovely, exciting show of the About That Wallet podcast. This episode, we'll be talking about some of the holiday shopping safety tips because holiday shopping is coming around and a lot of scammers are out there. So make sure that you are buckled in. And if you're listening to this on audio, make sure you go ahead on like this episode. Go ahead on and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're on so that we can go ahead on and get this going. So, in other words, let's go on and get this show started because it is a lot of thieving out there, and I want to make sure that you all are protected.
In a world where financial advice is as blurry as a wild night of cheap jello shots, clear your head and your monetary halitosis with the About That Wallet show hosted by Anthony Weaver. Leave those jello shots for the amateurs and learn to indulge in the top shelf bottles, baby. Now, here's your host, Anthony Weaver.
What up? What up? What up? So, everybody, I know this has been quite a wild ride lately, and it's 2023. It's almost over with. As you see, I got my little Christmas tree. You got to hear the little jingle. It's that season. I know people probably be hating, like, it's November. What are you talking about holiday savings for, Mr. Anthony? Well, I'm here to tell you that we need those holiday savings and tips right now because, it happens. A lot of us right now are trying to buy gifts for loved ones. We are really sitting out there and think we can do this. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, we just got to make sure that we are heard and just having a great time. So, because of that, holiday shopping tips. I know we've been talking about what I'm doing, but also I just want to make sure that we have everything necessary to have a safety and healthy relationship with our shopping. However, I want to start off with this moment of clarity because one of the things that's happening right now is that a lot of people are saving up their money. They saved up all year long. They might have like $1,000, and that's all they were able to save, and that's what they're able to give. And because they're able to just give just that, I want to make sure that you're able to save as much money as possible and actually provide the most amount for your family. So what I have right here, I know my stuff isn't showing up. Those two with the right. There we go. So let me just hear this from Good Morning America. This is talking about the countdown to shutdown, but also it's like, how do you protect yourself from most recent crimes that are happening out there? And I just want to make sure that my audience, such as you, to be aware of. Let me know if you can hear this.
Turned out a dramatic new video this morning that shows a crime that's on the rise in parking lots, so-called slider crimes. Rhiannon Alley is here with a word of caution for drivers. Good morning, Rhiannon.
Good morning, Lindsay. These thieves are really bold. Not only are they targeting people in parking lots where there could be a lot of people around, but also in broad daylight.
A Texas woman is recalling the terrifying moment she became the victim of a so-called slider crime.
It's just so fast.
Surveillance video shows the woman arriving in this Houston parking lot where another car pulls up behind her. A man gets out, crouches down, and slides into the victim's unlocked passenger door, trying to take her purse. The woman screams, honking her horn repeatedly, and the man gives up after a few seconds.
Honestly, it was a fight or flight reaction.
Police across the country, including in Houston and Atlanta, have warned of an increase in slider crimes. That's when a thief quickly sneaks into an unlocked car to steal valuables. Most cases are at gas stations when victims are outside their vehicles. But the victim in Houston says a feature in her car put her in danger. She says the man got inside because her car automatically unlocks when it's put into park.
So I can't watch the video with the sounds on because you can just hear the terror in my voice.
You really can hear how scared she was, and police urge drivers everywhere to be on alert when you park and make sure that you lock your doors when you leave your car. Guys.
Okay, thanks, Rhiannon.
Man, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure about you, but for me, one of the things that I've been doing is making sure that my car is locked and I'm not vulnerable and I don't want my purse to be taken. You know what I'm saying? Or even my wallet. You know what I'm saying? Because we about that wallet around here. Because it's the holiday edition. So because I mean, I know it's not a laughing matter, but one of those things that we have to be vigilant about is our surroundings. So when it comes to your surroundings, you want to make sure that you're locking your vehicle. Even when you put it in park, make sure you hurry up and hit that lock button and make sure you're only unlocking the door that needs to be unlocked. All of them do not need to be unlocked. Some of the new cars, if you have a button on your door jamb, you can actually, not the door jamb, but on the door handle, you can actually program that to only unlock the door that you're on. So if you want to unlock the driver's side only, just press a button. They usually have a settings in your car display to change that. Make sure you change that so that you do not have somebody just kind of sliding into any of your vehicles. Make sure you always do a 360 check when you first get inside your vehicle if it's been parked for a while. That's one of the things that I want to talk about as far as understanding your surroundings. When you actually go out to purchase your stuff and you notice that you got another stop to go to, it's okay to put all of your stuff in your trunk of your vehicle. If you have a hatchback where things are visible from the outside in, meaning like you have a SUV, a van, you might have a hatchback, two-door vehicle, what have you, and it doesn't have an actual like enclosed trunk. See if you can get like some blankets or something like that that you can throw over it, something dark and black that will match the tent so it's not too easy to see. If you don't have a tent on your vehicle for a hatchback, just try to make sure you get something that will cover it. Put like some old clothes or something like that in your vehicle so it doesn't look like you have new and exciting items from the store you just shopped at. So I know we talked about that, but I want to bring up something else because, security is another thing. So I know we talk about the physical security side while you're shopping, but I want to start talking about how can we move towards a more digital side of the house because a lot of us fall to scams. And I do not want you to fall to these scams. This information that I'm about to show you is about 3 years old, but the information is still relevant today because you need to be educated. You need to be vigilant about the data and information that you put out there. Okay. Let's listen to what this guy has to say. And this guy is Holiday Online Shopping Safety from the CISA. And let's see what he has to say if I can make this work. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Chris Krebs, Director of the Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency. This holiday season, millions of Americans will be online looking for the best deals. So will the scammers and online thieves. Here are a few simple steps to keep you safe online. First, check your devices. Make sure they're updated with the latest software. When you're online, use strong passwords on all your accounts, consider using a password manager, and enable multi-factor authentication to make sure it's really you. Next, only shop through trusted retailers and use their app if you can. Third, as we're all being swamped with email deals right now, if the deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Take your time, think through your purchase. The bad guys are counting on you to make a mistake. On that note, shop with careful confidence. Use a credit card if you can, as they often have better fraud protections than debit cards, and consider using virtual card numbers. Monitor any statements and report any suspicious activity. This holiday season, the best defense is being informed. To quote my favorite cartoon as a kid, knowing is half the battle. Find more tips on online safety at cisa.gov. Thank you and safe shopping.
All right. So you're hearing that from one of the top government agencies that are out there discussing how it is that you can actually protect yourself digitally when you're out there shopping. Make sure you're using a reputable site. Make sure that you're keeping up to the latest updates on your stuff. Like I said, this stuff is repeatable and understandable. If you know that you purchased an item from Amazon or you did not even purchase something from Amazon and you notice they actually come through with the clicks, you make sure that that is something that you do not want to happen. If you actually want to call in, I'm actually taking phone calls now. And if you actually want to be part of this conversation and you don't want to show your face, it's fair. Which you can call in at any time at 833-699-2558. Again, that's 833-699-2558. Oh man. So there was a comment in the chat from Carlo. What's going on? Glad you can make it to the show. So you mentioned Timu. I actually had to look up something right quick about Timu because I mean I know it's a lot that's happening about it, but this one came out. This is CNBC. This came about 2 months ago. So for those of you who like Timu and kind of curious about it, let's take a listen to see what's out there uh, on the news
Short
today.
seller betting a stock will fall is taking aim at Chinese e-commerce giant PDD. Now, you've probably never heard of PDD, but you may have heard of its former name, Pinduoduo. It is a giant in China. It's worth more than $100 billion. And here in America, it operates the wildly popular shopping app Temu, which offers very low prices on a variety of unbranded products made in China. But things may not be all that they seem. Grizzly Research published a scathing report today, which alleges that PDD is actually, quote, a dying fraudulent company, and its shopping app Temu is cleverly hidden spyware that poses an urgent security threat to U.S. national interests. Specifically, Grizzly alleges that Temu operates at a loss in part so it can collect all kinds of personal information on you and then turn around and sell that data to third parties. Now, many companies, of course, do that. But Grizzly believes that Temu might attract increased regulatory scrutiny given its ties to China. PDD shares selling off after the report, losing about 5% today. We, of course, reached out to PDD for comment. We have not heard back. Of course, they're just waking up, and for the most part out in Asia. Now we checked, and Temu is still the top downloaded free app on the App Store. In fact, it's been downloaded over 50 million times. So chances are you've used it or you know someone who does. So how concerned should you be if you are a Temu user? Joining us now is the CEO of Grizzly Research. That is Siggy Eggert. Siggy, it's good to have.
So I have a question. How many of you out there ever used Timu? I'm just curious because I think this is going to be pretty interesting for you to know. Because I've been doing some research with them, just kind of hearing about what they do and how it all works. But I know they're going to do like some of the research side of the house. I can pull up another video that actually talks about how Timu actually works and how they actually get their funding. If you're interested in that, please let me know in the chat, and I can pull that up right quick too as we watch this video.
Have you on the program. You call Temu the most dangerous malware / spyware package currently in widespread circulation. Back up those claims.
Thank you for having me, Brian. So we spent a ton of money, time, and effort on analyzing this app in depth, taking everything apart, and we found a bunch of very concerning factors, but I think most notably, we found the presence of self-compiling software. What this essentially means is that they can install any program on your phone once you downloaded the Temu app, and consequently, they can access your credit card records. If you have a banking app on your phone, they can access your bank records. They can read all the text messages you ever sent. This is extremely concerning in our opinion.
Okay, so you use the term self-compiling software. And again, we reached out to PDD, but I want to be clear on what you are alleging. If somebody, if one of our viewers or listeners downloads Temu, they probably don't read the terms of service, or maybe that's not listed in them. Temu then can install other software you don't even know about on your phone to do things like read your text messages?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Brian. You got it exactly right. And the worst part about it is they're also circumventing, by the way that they do it, they're circumventing any malware detection that your phone usually would have, and that would be usually caught by your phone, but they're circumventing that through the mechanism.
The data selling business, as we tried to allude to in the intro, Siggy, is nothing new. Everywhere you go on the internet, they track you, they sell your data. You just got to know it. What do you think, aside from kind of what you just said, makes this data collection a different level? In fact, maybe not just, I'm going to harvest your data and sell it to somebody else that can try to sell you a magazine, but a threat.
Yes, that is a legit question. I think the first thing that I would say is it really relates to the first point that I mentioned. They're illegally stealing any type of data that you could have. So that in itself, like stealing data, is illegal in the first place. And of course, there's turning around and selling it. I think the other concern is that Temu is a very, very quickly growing app in the Western world. They're spending aggressively on advertising, on all different kinds of campaigns to get as many app downloads as possible. They, for example, bought a Super Bowl halftime advertisement this year. And you got to wonder why someone would, buy a Super Bowl halftime advertisement to sell you a pair of pants for $8.99.
Siggy, have you talked to anybody in the U.S. government about this?
Yes, we are in active conversations with a range of regulatory agencies, and we think we're talking with relevant decision makers there and offering our resources actively to alleviate the issue.
All right, so that's hearing about Temu and everything like that. I think that is really interesting that how Temu is actually taking advantage of the consumers, especially around this time frame when a lot of people are tight and strapped for cash. So much so that people are tracking their spending. That the the consumer price index is actually down, and because of that, let me see if I could pull up the CPI for, let's see, was it November? Okay, let me see if I can share this. So the CPI, which is the consumer price index, for some of you who don't know, is for all urban consumers, rose 0.1% in November on a seasonal adjustment basis after increasing 0.4% in October. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today, and today is that's from December 22nd, 2022. Need something more recent. Okay, you know what? Let's go on and do a deep dive here. Let's watch it now, because they actually talking about how the consumer price index is actually down from. Let me see if I can zoom in here for you guys. So this is data as of November 14th. For those of you who are listening, I'm actually looking at a graph on CNBC website right now that's talking about the U.S. Consumer Price Index year-over-year percentage change as of October 2023. So just following along, looking at all the items, as of June 2023, all items, it was at 3%. Now it's back down to 3.2% in October, which is about, let's see, 5 basis points. I mean, about 50 basis points lower than September. You guys know from the show that you should know what basis points are. It's just pretty much 0.5%. So it goes down that far, but it goes to show that people are being more mindful of their spending ever since it seems like the peak of June 2022. And everybody's been slow down their spending, which is what the government wanted, by raising the interest rates. And because of that, the prices have been going down as well. However, when the consumer price index goes down, you'll start seeing some of the interest rates go down. So if you're looking to plan to purchase a home, you can actually have a better opportunity to get lower rates now. Not as cool or as low as they were before, but as low as they were maybe just like a month or two ago. So that is something to be aware of. Again, I'm not pretty big on keeping update to what's happening when it comes to most of the index stuff, because this show is about habits and how we can actually help each other with our financial habits. And because of that, I want to make sure that our holiday spending get back on track. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta get back on track with our spending, make sure that we in the know, and make sure that we are getting the things that you should understand. Now, there's a couple things that I want to say that we can start thinking about. I want to put a little bit of notes here and just do like news you need to know. One of the things about news. Let's see if I got a sound effect for that. Nope. But get my sound fix for my news. Do I got some news music? I don't think I got like news music. I need to. No. Where's my news? News music. I don't know. I had some news music some time ago. I was playing around with my songs and things got out of control. So let's see. No. All right. Either way, I want to just kind of talk about like the news you need to know, and I think it'll be good. So let's go with this one. All right, news you need to know. All right, so first thing is that in the DC area in PG County, if you're in a 6-mile radius of PG County's what do they call it? PG County's community college, you actually can get into the school for free. So if you're looking to actually educate yourself, double check your local colleges, because you never know. You might be able to go to school for free. Second thing in the news is that the holidays are here. So one of the things is that they said the best times to travel is actually a week before Thanksgiving. If you cannot make it, try to leave the Wednesday before, or you can actually come in on that Sunday, the week of Thanksgiving, will be kind of the best times to travel. And lastly, the third thing you need to know is that obviously we're talking about today. Thieving is on the rise, you guys. Make sure that you're vigilant about what's happening in the day, and make sure you know what your surroundings are. Make sure that you're secure and actually have 2-factor authentication set up on your phone. All right. So that's what I got today with the news that you need to know. All right. So I think we running up to the end of the show, but I do want to make sure that you all understand what it is when it comes to making sure that you're very vigilant with your finances this holiday season. Make sure that you know what it is that you really want to get for yourself, and stay vigilant. Now, this holiday season, let's talk about the things that you actually really want. I want you to take a moment to think about the things that you really want. Think about people's finances right now. A lot of people are strapped for cash. So I want you to be mindful for the things that you ask for. Now, one of the things that, because I'm always about that wallet, what I try to do is make sure that I always ask for books. I'm always welcome to books. As you see behind me, there's books here, and I have a couple books to the left of me. But I want to make sure that those are something that I myself would like to enjoy. And also, it doesn't hurt somebody's pockets. I think the most expensive book that I have on deck that I ever purchased so far was a book for kids, actually. It's actually this book here. So this book is called The Golden Quest. And with this book, I think it's like $23 on Amazon. I actually met the author, and he actually have his own episode on this show. I can actually pull it up. His name is David Dalal, and we had an awesome discussion about what it is that kind of help people teach kids money. Let me see if I can pull it up. David Dalal, about that wallet. I'm gonna share my screen, share my tab. Let's get down there. Beep, 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 beep. All right. So don't look at my SEO stuff. So David Dalal, season 3, episode 28. We actually talked about his book, talk about the kids and everything like that. So his thing is actually talking about finding your awesome stuff. And let's see if I did a quick intro to his show so you can actually hear. Should we save or should we invest? What do you think?
Well, definitely you should invest. And the reason I say we shouldn't teach our children to save isn't so much the saving, is what's happening is when we think about money, the only thing we typically teach and learn is how to have more. So the same is with saving. The whole reason most of us are teaching saving is so we have more. And that's the first step to more. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more or saving. But if it's the only lesson we ever teach our kids, then what we're teaching them is more is better. And once you achieve more, then you hit that level. And then the next step is to achieve more past that. And so you're always looking for more and never sort of satisfied or have enough.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think this book he meant really well. He means really well. And I highly recommend this book. It's an actual graphic novel that will actually help your kids be better investors. Look at this. Like easy to read. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nice, great graphics. And it's like almost a comic style setup. So it's what I'm saying? So you can follow the story along, even with your kids. You don't even have to use words for some of these pages, which is great because it still tells a story and actually allows you to, pretty much make sure that you are sharing this information with your kids. So because of that, I really like giving back, and maybe I might be able to give this book away come December. What do you guys think? I think this will be a good book because David put in a lot of work with this, and I have to say that he's been a great guy. So I'll say definitely check out that episode if you haven't already. And I want to make sure that you guys, just in case you missed it, I might have a segment called "In Case You Missed It." Let's see what we got. Let me share my screen again. So, in case you missed it, this is the latest episode that's posted that I did with David and Miss.
I can do an evaluation to say, hey, I think this is a good price. But there's also another thing they call due diligence, which that's something that's in real estate. That's in any term, that period of time in which you can go and examine numbers, etc., and ask a lot of questions. And so, and different services are needed in different times, right? Like if you're good with the numbers, you say, hey, if it's producing this, then I'm fine paying this. Then at that point, really, you need to do some digging on the numbers and say, hey, does this match up? Or is there really this many cars coming from the car wash, or is there really this many subscriptions?
So with that episode, we're actually talking about how to actually observe a business so that you can purchase a business and then actually refinance that business if you want to, because you can go ahead on and now be a business owner without actually starting your own business. Just buy somebody else's. It's that easy. All right. I think we're coming up to the half-hour mark, so you know what time that is. Let's go ahead on and get to the drinks. All right. So now that we got that out the way, I know it's just me, but the drink that I'm drinking today, let me see. I got a new camera. I got a new camera, you guys. It's actually pretty cool. I just got to plug it in. The only thing about it, though, I kind of wish I did was that I could do like a 2-camera setup. But in the meantime, because I can't, they're just going to have to bear with me when I toggle between the 2 cameras. So this is the tequila that I'm using. Let's see if you can guys see that. Great. There we go. So this is the, let me turn this light down, I guess. This is the Respado. It's going to be a good drink. What do you think? You think it's going to be a good drink? I think it's going to be a good drink. So, because it's going to be a good drink, we're going to make it happen. All right, let's see. I'm only going to do a single shot. Now, the only reason why I'm doing a shot today, because you know what? We got to give thanks for the things that we encounter every day and all day. And because of that, we are going to have a shot. hair on your chest every time. So when I do drink the tequila. Yes, tequila. So because of that, I think it's time. It's been a while. I haven't done pod decks. Like I said, you are more than welcome to call at any time, which is 833-699-2558. All right. So we had the drinks, got my drink, got my shot. And since I'm paying for this every year, might as well start using it this year. Since we're talking about holiday stuff, let's see what we got today. We got some pod decks. I haven't done this in a while, so let's see what we got for pod decks as we play my little commercial here.
This episode is powered by Pod Decks. Pod decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Pod decks. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddecks.com and type in coupon code. What's the code? Yes, that's the code. Check out poddecks.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
All right. So if you're actually looking to get yourself your own set of pod decks, which I have displayed right here, you can actually go to poddecks.com, use promo code WALLET. Again, that's WALLET, WALLET. So the decks that I'm using today, I am going to use, because you actually get a fun app. So in case you're actually with a partner and you're just trying to do a little bit of icebreakers, get to know them a little bit more, you can use these card decks. So I'm going to use money. Figure why not? It's money habits. Yeah. Ooh. Now this one is a good topic. The question is, how much do you tip waiters? Because waiting has actually been a big, tipping has been on the in the news lately, and I've been wondering about that too. So what is it about tipping that seems to be getting people so outraged? It's like just ridiculous. So, because I don't know about you guys, but I usually just kind of tip them like the 20%, whatever makes them feel good. You know what I'm saying? I think 20% is fair, depending on the service. Like if they bring their own straw when I don't have to ask them, you get a bonus on me. You know what I'm saying? You bring me napkins, a straw, and some water, and even if they give out bread, give me some bread. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting, and their job is not to cook the food. I get it, but at least keep my drink tapped off. You know what I'm saying? So how much do you tip waiters? Put that out there. How much do you actually tip your waiters? I think it's fair to have that as a fair question. You know, do you tip waiters based on like, I don't know. I don't like this. Do you tip your waiters based on like, I don't know, like the atmosphere? Like, was their service? Were they friendly? How much do you tip? And that's a good question. I want you to kind of sit down and think about that. And is it something that we need to get away from? Because it seems like everywhere else in the world, they don't got tip for that. You know? So it's just a mess at times. So, it's you can't get it all. Let me see what I can find here in the news about tipping, because I just think it's crazy. Like, how much should we tip? How much? In the news. Oh, they made today's news just 2 months.
This morning in our Consumer Confidential, we are talking tip.
Let me see if I can pull this up. right quick because I want to make sure that y'all get to hear this firsthand. We're going to use this as, maybe the way to go. It could be not. Let's see what they say. And this is for those of you who are listening, this is called Tipping Etiquette 101. Who to tip, how much, and when to skip.
How much should you give? Which ones can you skip? If you feel like you've reached a tipping point, our senior consumer investigative correspondent, Vicki Wynn, she's here to help. And let's start there, Vic, because tipping, it used to be you do a good job, or you go to a nice restaurant,
you're
you tip
appreciative
15,
of a
20%.
service. Right.
Now it does seem like there is this expectation that no matter where you go or what service is performed, you should be tipping. How did we get here?
It is really contributing to a tipping fatigue in our society. Look, American culture, we are a very generous people. Tipping is part of the norm, but there's a real debate going on right now, especially among American service workers who look at their counterparts in Europe and they don't depend as much on tips. And it's because people are saying, you're not paying us a living wage.
Yeah.
Restaurant servers make as little as $4 an hour, and they're expected to make up the rest in tips, which is supported by everyone.
Oh, she's at $4 an hour. When I was a waiter, I was only making I was only making like $2 an hour. I think it was like $2.75 when I was waiting tables. But I guess times change, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Carl, like you said, in Maryland, they make about 3.63 hourly. I mean, come on. Like I was living off those tips, even though I only worked like 3 days. And it was really 3 nights because I would work my day job, get off, then I'll work the waiting gig, and I was also a bartender as well. And most of my tips came when I was actually out on the floor waiting tables. When I was bartending, the tips were here and there. They were kind of scarce, but when I was actually at the tables, that's where I made most of my money. Depending on how good you are as a waiter. I mean, as a bartender, you can make some money there. But most of the time, the guys will come to see the girls, so they had to swap me out. They had to kick me out from being a bartender to put the ladies in. I was like, cool, it's all right. I'm just here as part-time gig anyway. So that's interesting that they say that. So let's get back to see what they have on here.
Else. So there's a conversation happening about should employers pay more so that people aren't so dependent on their tips. The thing is, the pandemic, that made us even more generous.
Yes.
Creditcards.com says we tipped an average of $1.24 more per service during the pandemic because we were so grateful to those grocery deliveries, those food deliveries. But now we're kind of contracting and we are actually tipping less than we did in 2019. In fact, the number of people polled said that the times that they always tip at a sit-down restaurant is 73% now compared to 77% back in 2019.
That's not good.
Part of the tipping fatigue, when you are standing in line and someone is just going to hand you a bagel and then they turn that little screen around and it says no tip.
Don't even make eye contact
20,
with you.
25%.
Hey, have any of y'all ever got that screen that comes up and it was like, yo, can I get some money? I'm like, yo, you're a digital machine. You're not serving me at all. Just give me my drink. Like, you're not waiting on me or anything like that. You're a barista or, you're making my food at like Chick-fil-A or something. Like, come on. If they're not paying you enough just to kind of push some buttons, it's horrible. But I think the people that are really waiting on people should be getting those tips. Not like I heard even some vending machines even asking for a tip. Like, well, I'm tipping the machine? Like, for what? Come on, son. Let's see what else they got to say on this.
Yeah, and there's a long line of people behind you, and you just feel like I gotta tip something. That kind of makes people less likely to tip in other places. Right. So there's a debate about that too. Like, when do you have to tip?
There are services we've always tipped for, I feel like, but how do we know how much exactly to tip for, say, getting your hair done or services like that?
Yeah, the best rule of thumb when it comes to tipping, obviously tip what you can, but there are some expected standards. Pre-tax tipping, when you go to a restaurant, 20%.
Hold on, let's look at this. See if I can, I don't think it'll allow me to zoom in on this video, but for those of you who are listening, she actually have almost like a slide picture that shows the general services to tip. Restaurants is 15 to 20% pre-tax. Delivery services 10 to 15% of the bill, and then bars, which is $1 to $2 per drink, or 15 to 20% of the tab. Now, Carla, you mentioned that you do 15% is a good number, so you're actually on par with what they say in here. So let's see what else she has to say on this.
Is pretty much the expectation for good service. There was a great article written by a former server in Food and Wine magazine, and they said, you know, even when they've had the most cringiest experience, they still tip 10%. The only times they say you can get away with 0 is if the server absolutely ignores you, you know, or does something terribly racist or offensive to you. That's the only time where they feel like it's acceptable to go down to 0. But beauty services, 20%. Delivery services, this one's interesting because let's say you order a meal that is a little more expensive from Uber Eats. You're going to be tipping a percentage of you that cost is, even though that meal might be literally the same effort lighter as a cheaper delivery. So you kind of have to look at the bill and decide what do I think is fair for that. When it comes to hotels, I don't know, you tip the housekeeping each night, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, I always thought it was at least $10.
Well, see, when I tip the people for housekeeping, before she gets into it, what is your rule of thumb for tipping for housekeeping? I'm curious on that, because one of the things that I try to do is, like, depending on, I'll be putting in some work on that cleaning joint. So I'll be making up the bed, you know, cleaning up the sink, and trying to make things look a little easier. But also, I try to do like maybe $5 a day. You know, that's me. How much do you guys actually tip per day, and like leave them like a grand total, or do you actually put your money out every day that they actually come out to clean up? Because I notice a lot of hotels have been switching to that. You know, we only going to come out every 2 days instead of that 1 day. You know, I'm just curious to see what you guys think on that. Just leave it in the comments.
A night, but actually some of the etiquette experts say anywhere from $2 to $15, depending on how many nights. But you're supposed to tip every night because there are different people that come and turn up.
Absolutely. Because it's different. They rotate through. Absolutely.
Just to follow up really quickly, Vic, because you just said something. A lot of times, people on a receipt will see like a service charge, and I think a lot of people wonder, okay, well, is that the tip? Am I tipping there with the service charge?
So for a while, you would see this service surcharge or a COVID surcharge. In California, they do a health insurance surcharge. So surcharges are different from tips. And if you have a question about it, you should ask. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Usually when there are groups of 6 or more, they will add an automatic gratuity of 18%. But sometimes that extra service charge, it depends on the restaurant. So
what about the gray areas, like, you know, car wash, where you've got multiple people doing it, or to Dylan's point, where you're just picking up coffee?
I know. So this is where the etiquette experts at emilypost.com say it's okay to avoid the guilt tip. Don't tip if you don't feel like it was a personal service interaction. I would say at car wash, they're actually really doing something for you, and it is customary to tip. Sometimes they have the big tip jar so you can give it to everybody, and they usually pool their tips together. So with the gray area, the movers is another one. You're already paying hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for a big move.
But not to those folks who are bringing the stuff off the truck.
Guys that are working a 12-hour day. So if you don't have the cash to tip them $40 to $50 each, then consider buying sandwiches or pizza and drinks for everybody for the day. You don't always have to tip in money. Do what you can.
Yeah, I will say, Sue Simmons, one of our
Carla, you said just a hotel housekeepers? I mean, I do tip them. I usually tip them pretty good when they actually come and, you know, bring my luggage. And if I want to make sure that my luggage is up there, you know, first out of everybody else's in that hallway, you know, slide them a quick $20 or something right quick. We're like, yeah, bring this on bag on it. I think it's great. So let's see what else you got on here. They do charge resort fees and 13% hotel tax. That's crazy. Because sometimes those hotel resort fees, like bro, help me out here. Now, the cool thing is that American Express does waive some of those hotel fees. They will, I think they will actually take that off, because the cool thing about American Express, the way how they operate, they can see line item by line item of exactly what you purchase when you use American Express. But when you use like Chase, Meaning like when you use Visa or MasterCard, they go into like some other central bank. So they don't get to see the individual charges that you use. Where American Express, they actually lend the money out and actually control the credit card and everything like that at the same time. So they can see exactly pound, almost like pound for pound. They can see cent for cent of everything that you're actually purchasing with their card. So it's actually pretty cool. If you ever look into the fine print, you got to read the fine print of American Express. That's why a lot of companies don't like them, because they also charge that 3%. That 3% usage fee. I'm like, man, well, I better take this money. Like, so, just to kind of, but they are very good with the small business side of the house. So I do highly recommend, like, not recommend, only suggestion. This is educational purposes only. Don't try to see me, bro. All right, let's see what else they got. We got the last couple seconds here. Let's see what they have to say.
Legendary anchors here in New York said, folks like us, there's a celebrity tax, and so you have to tip 30%.
Now the difference with that is if you serve Al, you're going to get a 50% tip. You serve one of us, we can probably afford 25.
No, he's very generous, and so are you.
Thank you.
Vicky, those are great tips.
Yes, yeah, good one.
Thank you.
Add up.
He said just a tip. Oh, where's my rim shot? I know D3 back there. He would like that one. All right. I gotta keep this show PG-13. So anyway, I'm having a great time with this. So what's next for me? We having a good time, we laughing and everything like that. I do want to take a moment to let people know that, a lot of you are my listeners, and I greatly appreciate you. And obviously life be lifing. And sometimes you can't make all the shows, or, just you can't do everything. But I greatly appreciate you. I hear you, I see you, and I greatly appreciate everything that you guys have been doing for me on the back end of this of the show, and encouraging me to continue to do this day in and day out. And I know you guys want to make sure that I can be able to do this full time. In order for me to actually do that, I would need you to continue to share this episodes, continue to like the shows, and that's minimum. That's free. And the reason why I like to keep everything as free as possible is because it helps me grow as well. And because you're actually sharing out this information, I want to make sure that I provide value to you and also to your family, so you can grow and stay safe out there, especially for the holidays. And especially I want you to be there for your loved ones. If you guys can just take a moment of silence a little bit, because we do have recently heard that some of the people that listen had lost a loved one before the holidays. So let's have a moment of silence for that. All right. Thank you. So, for some of you who do have your loved ones, please make sure that you take time out and say thank you. And, just really looking out for the best of everybody that's out there for my listeners. And, I do this show for you. At first when I started, it was pretty selfish because I just wanted somebody to talk to. But it seemed like I'm hearing more and more of your voices. And I really want to make sure that I am continuously adding value to you, your life, and your family lives. And so that we all can be about that wallet and provide more stacks into that bank account. I want you to be a millionaire. I want you to be a multi-millionaire, so that you can do all the things that you ever want to do. So if there's ever anything that you would like for me to cover, or you haven't heard from me yet, or talk about, or if you want me to talk more about something, leave a comment below. Every time you leave a comment, I get an email. So I do read them. So don't worry. If you can't email me directly, just put a comment. I get them, and we'll have a conversation about that, and I'll make sure I bring somebody on. All right, everybody. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Peace. And I got to do my outro. Where was that?